Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. From error to error, one discovers the entire truth. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. A man should not strive to eliminate his complexes, but to get into accord with them. They are legitimately what directs his conduct in the world. Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief. The virtuous man contents himself with dreaming that which the wicked man does in actual life. The voice of the intellect is a soft one, but it does not rest until it has gained a hearing. Ultimately, after endless rebuffs, it succeeds. This is one of the few points in which one may be optimistic about the future of mankind. The only person with whom you have to compare yourself is you in the past. The mind is like an iceberg, it floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. Thought is action in rehearsal. Friendship is an art of keeping distance while love is an art of intimacy. In the small matters trust the mind, in the large ones the heart. A layman will no doubt find it hard to understand how pathological disorders of the body and mind can be eliminated by mere words. He will feel that he is being asked to believe in magic. Time spent with cats is never wasted. People do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. The first human who hurled an insult instead of a stone was the founder of civilization. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. The ego is not master in its own house. Love and work, work and love, that's all there is. The conscious mind may be compared to a fountain playing in the sun and falling back into the great subterranean pool of subconscious from which it rises. Public self is a conditioned construct of the inner psychological self. We are what we are because we have been what we have been, and what is needed for solving the problems of human life and motives is not moral estimates but more knowledge. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. A woman should soften, but not weaken a man. Everywhere I go I find a poet has been there before me. In the depths of my heart I can't help being convinced that my dear fellow men, with a few exceptions, are worthless. Immorality, no less than morality, has at all times found support in religion. No, our science is no illusion. But an illusion it would be to suppose that what science cannot give us, we can get elsewhere. The madman is a dreamer awake. Human beings are funny. They long to be with the person they love, but refuse to admit openly. Some are afraid to show even the slightest sign of affection because of fear. Fear that their feelings may not be recognized, or even worse, returned. But one thing about human beings puzzles me the most is their conscious effort to be connected with the object of their affection even if it kills them slowly within. Religion is an illusion, and it derives its strength from the fact that it falls in with our instinctual desires. Where the questions of religion are concerned, people are guilty of every possible kind of insincerity and intellectual misdemeanor. America is a mistake, a giant mistake. Neurotics complain of their illness, but they make the most of it, and when it comes to taking it away from them, they will defend it like a lioness her young. Beauty has no obvious use, nor is there any clear cultural necessity for it. Yet civilization could not do without it. The intention that man should be happy is not in the plan of creation. Men are more moral than they think and far more immoral than they can imagine. Love and work are the cornerstones of our humanness. The creative writer does the same as the child at play. He creates a world of fantasy which he takes very seriously. Where ID is, there shall ego be. The ego is not master in its own house. How bold one gets when one is sure of being loved. Neurosis is the inability to tolerate ambiguity. Men are strong so long as they represent a strong idea, they become powerless when they oppose it. Instinct of love toward an object demands a mastery to obtain it, and if a person feels they can't control the object or feel threatened by it, they act negatively toward it. There are no mistakes. It goes without saying that a civilization which leaves so large a number of its participants unsatisfied and drives them into revolt neither has, nor deserves the prospect of a lasting existence. The dream is the liberation of the spirit from the pressure of external nature, a detachment of the soul from the fetters of matter. You wanted to kill your father in order to be your father yourself. Now you are your father, but a dead father. The liberty of the individual is no gift of civilization. It was greatest before there was any civilization. America is the most grandiose experiment the world has seen, but, I am afraid, it is not going to be a success. Words and magic were in the beginning one and the same thing, and even today words retain much of their magical power. In mourning it is the world which has become poor and empty, in melancholia it is the ego itself. What is common in all these dreams is obvious. They completely satisfy wishes excited during the day which remain unrealized. They are simply and undisguisedly realizations of wishes. Smoking is indispensable if one has nothing to kiss. The individual does actually carry on a double existence, one designed to serve his own purposes and another as a link in a chain, in which he serves against, or at any rate without, any volition of his own. A religion, even if it calls itself a religion of love, must be hard and unloving to those who do not belong to it. The time comes when each of us has to give up as illusions the expectations which, in his youth, he pinned upon his fellow men, and when he may learn how much difficulty and pain has been added to his life by their ill will. He who knows how to wait need make no concessions. I never want to belong to any club that would have someone like me as a member. Our memory has no guarantees at all, and yet we bow more often than is objectively justified to the compulsion to believe what it says. And it is only after seeing man as his unconscious, revealed by his dreams, presents him to us that we shall understand him fully. For as Freud said to Putnam, we are what we are because we have been what we have been. Neurosis is the result of a conflict between the ego and its ID, whereas psychosis is the analogous outcome of a similar disturbance in the relation between the ego and its environment, outer world. The unconscious of one human being can react upon that of another without passing through the conscious. Everyone owes nature a death. If children could, if adults knew. In many criminals, especially youthful ones, it is possible to detect a very powerful sense of guilt which existed before the crime, and is therefore not its result but its motive. It is as if it was a relief to be able to fasten this unconscious sense of guilt onto something real and immediate. We have learned, for example, that the more virtuous a man is, the more severe is his superego, and that he blames himself for misfortunes for which he is clearly not responsible. Neurosis is no excuse for bad manners. When one does not have what one wants, one must want what one has.